You won't believe the latest twist in the Tia Mowry and Cory Hardrict divorce saga. Let me tell you, it's not what you think. When Tia and Cory first announced their split, many people rushed to conclusions, labeling Cory as the villain and Tia as the empowered woman reclaiming her freedom. But here's where it gets interesting. As time passed, the story took an unexpected turn. Fans had their minds made up and they sided with Tia, especially when she started posting about her single era on TikTok and sharing her journey of personal growth. Her messages were all about self-love, growth, and embracing her independence after 14 years of marriage. But what people didn't see coming was the moment Cory finally broke his silence. For months, Cory kept his mouth shut while Tia spoke openly about her new life post-divorce. She posted cryptic messages on social media, shared inspirational quotes about moving on, and even dropped some hints about how dating was hard out here. Fans were quick to jump on the bandwagon, painting Cory as the bad guy. They called him broke, said he was living off Tia's money, and assumed he was just laying low while she thrived in the spotlight. But here's the shocking part. Cory wasn't about to let this go on forever. At some point, a man can only take so much. In a recent Instagram Live, Cory finally stepped forward and set the record straight. "I never cheated, period," he said. And just like that, the narrative shifted. This was the moment fans had been waiting for. Cory was no longer going to be silent while fake stories about him spread across the internet. His words were direct and the truth spilled out. He called out the fake narratives, slamming the accusations head on. He wasn't here to let anyone disrespect him or his family. Cory had stayed quiet for a long time, but now he was determined to defend himself and his truth. It didn't stop there. Cory went on to explain how difficult it was to see everyone paint him as the villain when the truth was far more complex. His tone was clear. He wasn't going to let social media or public opinion dictate his life. Cory shared the real story of their marriage and how he had been there for Tia at her lowest point when they first met. It wasn't just a simple romance. It was a journey that had its ups and downs. But Cory emphasized that no one knew the full story, and it wasn't fair to reduce their entire relationship to tabloid gossip. For months, Cory had kept a low profile, but now that the truth was out there, the internet was buzzing with mixed reactions. And here's where things took another unexpected turn. Despite the media storm surrounding their split, Cory didn't make this about him winning or Tia losing. He didn't frame their divorce as a victory for him or a personal loss for her. Instead, he focused on what mattered most, his children. He said, "My kids remain my priority," and his tone showed that no matter what happened between him and Tia, his love and commitment to their family never wavered. It was a side of Cory that many fans hadn't seen before: calm, composed, and deeply protective of his kids. Meanwhile, Tia's narrative was shifting too. At first, fans had supported her. Many saw her as a woman who was reclaiming her independence and finding herself after a long marriage. But now, as she continued to post about her struggles with dating and navigating life without Cory, things weren't so simple anymore. Tia had called her marriage a curriculum and said that divorce was like a graduation. Fans couldn't help but wonder if that metaphor was a bit too detached from the real emotional impact of divorce. Was she really just graduating, or was there more to the story? Fans started to pick up on something. While Tia had been vocal about her struggles with dating and her journey to self-love, some people began to question her decision to leave Cory. Could it be that she was now regretting her choice? And here's where things get even crazier. Tia, who had once seemed so confident in her decision, was now posting late-night TikToks and making cryptic comments about her regrets. One minute she was celebrating her freedom, and the next she was telling her followers that dating wasn't as easy as she thought it would be. As these posts piled up, the internet started questioning whether Tia had been too quick to embrace this new chapter of her life. Was she really ready for the single life? Or was she starting to realize that things weren't as great as she thought? People who had supported her initially were now having doubts. Fans who had been cheering for Tia's self-love journey were beginning to wonder if she had made a mistake. Some even started to suggest that maybe she had jumped the gun, leaving behind a stable family for a life that didn't look so perfect after all. But here's the real twist in this entire story. If Cory had been posting the way Tia had, dancing to breakup songs, sharing cryptic captions about how hard dating is, people would have been calling him bitter. But because it's Tia, it's seen as healing. Why is there such a double standard? Why are men expected to stay silent and move on quietly, while women are praised for expressing their emotions so publicly? It seems like when Tia does it, she's just finding herself. But when a man does it, he's seen as angry or bitter. This is where it gets even more complicated. Cory, for his part, has been nothing but respectful throughout the entire ordeal. He's kept things classy and focused on his family. He hasn't aired out their dirty laundry for the world to see. He said in a recent interview, "I always protected my kids and I always protected her because as a man, that's what you do. Whether you're together or not, you protect your family." It's the kind of maturity that people admire, and his fans couldn't help but respect him more for taking the high road. And while Tia continues to share her side, the internet has taken note of how Cory has remained steady and focused. His calm demeanor and his refusal to engage in petty drama have made him look like the bigger person in this situation. He's keeping it real, staying true to his values, and putting his kids first, while Tia seems to be caught up in her own personal battles. The contrast is clear, and it's got people talking. Now, we move from here with a crucial question. Is Tia starting to regret her decision? Is she realizing that being single and embracing her independence isn't all it's cracked up to be? Or is Cory simply flexing now that he's back on top and his career is booming? This is just the beginning, and we're about to find out if there's more to this story than meets the eye. Let's dive deeper into what's really happening here. Tia's public image has definitely taken a turn. When she first broke the news about her divorce, everyone saw her as a woman reclaiming her independence and embracing her single era. She was sharing TikToks and Instagram posts about how she was living her best life, glowing up and becoming the best version of herself. She was the picture of confidence. But here's where it gets interesting. As Cory started to rise and his career began to thrive, things on Tia's side didn't seem as perfect anymore. You know how they say the grass isn't always greener on the other side? Well, Tia might be realizing that now. The craziest part about all of this is how Tia's narrative started to shift. One minute she was talking about how freeing it was to move on from the marriage, calling her divorce a graduation, as if it was just a necessary step in her life. But the more she posted about her dating struggles and her journey to self-discovery, the more it seemed like she was having second thoughts about everything. Her TikToks were becoming more cryptic, more introspective. She started to share more about how difficult it was to navigate life post-divorce, especially in the dating world. Now, let's talk about something else that's been making waves. Tia made this bold statement. Just because dating is complicated doesn't mean I'm going back to something that no longer served me. It was clear she was trying to defend her decision, but something about it didn't sit right with fans. It felt like she was trying a little too hard to convince everyone, and maybe even herself, that leaving Cory was the right choice. You know what they say, actions speak louder than words, and when fans started to notice her backtracking in her posts, things got a little fishy. And here's where it gets juicy. Tia's recent post about how the streets are hard had fans raising their eyebrows. She'd been so vocal about her new single life, yet now she was talking about how exhausting it is to date. Wait a minute, didn't she just leave Cory because she wanted something better? Wasn't this the new, liberated version of Tia Mowry we were all rooting for? So why the sudden change in tone? People were starting to wonder, was she really struggling in the dating world? Or was she just realizing that being single wasn't all it was cracked up to be? As these posts flooded in, fans couldn't help but point out the inconsistency in her story. One minute, she's all about her personal growth and independence, and the next, she's venting about how tough it is to date. Fans couldn't help but notice the contradiction. They had been cheering for Tia's empowerment journey, but now it felt like she was regretting leaving her stable marriage. Some even joked that she might have made a huge mistake. One fan commented, Tia thought the grass was greener on the other side, but now she's realizing she might have jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire. But here's where things get even more complicated. The media had painted Tia as the one who was embracing her new life, while Cory was left in the background, keeping his silence. But now that Cory's been opening up about his side of the story, people are starting to rethink their initial perceptions. Cory's career has been booming post-divorce, and let's be real, his glow-up has been undeniable. Fans are noticing how well he's doing, and let's not forget, he's been super respectful about the entire situation. Cory hasn't badmouthed Tia, even though she had been pretty vocal about her journey. Instead, he's been focusing on his kids and his career, and now it looks like Tia might be the one struggling to keep up with the narrative. What makes this story different is how the public's opinion is shifting. Initially, many fans sided with Tia. She was the one who took control of her life and moved on. But as Cory's career keeps soaring, and as Tia's posts get more desperate, people are starting to ask themselves, did Tia make the right decision? Was leaving Cory the right choice? Or is she now realizing that the family life she walked away from might have been something worth holding on to? Tia's journey to find herself post-divorce was supposed to be empowering, but now it looks like she might be second-guessing that choice. Is she looking at Cory's success and thinking she could have had that stability too? Or is she just trying to make sense of everything in her own way? Either way, it's clear that the story is far from over. People are questioning whether Tia's message of empowerment was just a mask for the real pain she's feeling. And this is where things get even more intriguing, because with every post she shares, Tia is giving us a glimpse into the emotional roller coaster she's on. What started as a bold move towards independence is slowly turning into a bigger internal battle that she might not be ready to face. But here's the kicker. Cory, on the other hand, has been low-key winning. His career is on the rise, and he's handling this entire situation with grace and dignity. He's been through the storm, and now he's emerging stronger. While Tia seems to be lost in her own reflection, Cory is showing us that sometimes the best revenge isn't about slinging dirt or airing out dirty laundry. It's simply about moving forward and doing better. And let's not forget that he's been nothing but respectful to Tia throughout the entire ordeal. As Tia's posts about dating struggles continue, we're left with a big question. Is she truly happy with her decision to leave Cory? Or has the grass on the other side turned out to be a little less green than she expected? Fans are starting to take notice, and it looks like the tables may be turning. Tia might have thought she was stepping into her best life, but now she's facing the reality that single life isn't always the freedom it seems to be. And let's just say the internet is not going to let her forget it anytime soon. Now, let's talk about the other side of the story. Cory Hardrict has been moving in silence, but there's no denying that his post-divorce glow-up is real. After keeping quiet for months while Tia got all the attention for her single-era transformation, Cory finally broke his silence in the most powerful way possible, by staying true to himself. Here's the shocking part. While Tia was out here spilling her personal feelings all over social media, Cory remained calm, collected, and laser-focused on his kids and career. And let me tell you, it looks like that decision was the best one he could have made. The craziest part of Cory's rise is how it's all aligning perfectly. Just as Tia seemed to be out here getting caught up in her own emotional journey, Cory was quietly handling business. It wasn't just about being a father or an actor. Cory was making major career moves that we couldn't ignore. The man was out there landing roles, securing opportunities, and steadily climbing the Hollywood ladder. He even admitted that his role in The Black Mark was his biggest payday yet. Can you imagine? It's like all the hard work he put in behind the scenes is finally paying off, and he's doing it on his own terms without the noise of the public scrutinizing his every move. This is where it gets really interesting. While Tia seemed to be struggling with her new life, trying to navigate through dating complications and dealing with online comments, Cory was out here shining. His recent role boosted his career to new heights, and he started sharing more about how much he's grown, not just professionally, but personally as well. The man was glowing. He was looking better than ever, and you could feel the energy shift around him. This is how you know that destiny took an unexpected turn. Cory, who once stood in Tia's shadow, was now stepping into the spotlight on his own terms. And what made it even more fascinating was how Cory addressed everything without ever throwing shade at Tia. He wasn't out here ranting on social media or making public statements about their split. He simply stayed focused on his family and his work. He said, "My kids remain my priority," and that spoke volumes. While Tia was busy talking about how hard the dating scene was and how confusing things were, Cory's response was clear. He was all about stability, and that's where his power lay. It was as if he was saying, "I don't need the drama. I have my kids and my career, and that's what matters most." Now, let's dive into the financial side of things, because, that's always a hot topic in Hollywood breakups. There's been a lot of speculation about whether money played a role in Cory and Tia's split, especially considering how much Tia had been the primary breadwinner throughout their marriage. But guess what? That narrative seems to be shifting. As Cory's career continues to soar, some are wondering if financial concerns were really ever an issue. In fact, it's starting to look like Cory is proving that he's more than capable of standing on his own 2 feet. No more accusations of living off Tia's money. Nope, Cory is out here securing his own bag. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the growing public admiration for Cory. People started noticing the class he exhibited during this entire process. He didn't engage in petty social media beef, didn't air out their dirty laundry, and didn't try to justify himself publicly. Instead, he took the high road, focusing on what really mattered: his family, his career, and his personal growth. Fans started praising him for his maturity, his strength, and his ability to remain respectful while still moving forward in his life. He didn't have to say much. His actions spoke louder than any post or interview ever could. Here's where things get really wild. The tables have truly turned. While Tia was the one everyone was rooting for when the divorce happened, the more she posts about her struggles, the more people are starting to question whether she made the right choice. Fans have noticed that she's been posting less about her empowerment journey and more about how tough it is to navigate life post-divorce. On the other hand, Cory has been out here flourishing. His career is booming, his personal growth is undeniable, and he's stayed out of the mess. People are starting to wonder, was Cory really the villain of the story, or is Tia's journey just more complicated than we thought? Let's not forget how Cory's recent comments about his emotional journey really struck a chord with fans. He admitted, "I cried myself to sleep for over a year." And that was a moment of raw honesty that resonated with so many people. It was a side of him that no one had seen before. The vulnerable side that showed just how deeply the divorce affected him. But even then, Cory didn't let his emotions dictate his actions. He stayed focused on his career, his family, and his healing process. His story isn't just about personal success, it's also about resilience and the strength to move forward despite the hardships. But as we take a deeper look into Tia's life post-divorce, we see a different picture. While Cory is out here making moves, Tia is still grappling with the emotional fallout of her decision. She's posting more and more about how hard it is to date, how she's feeling lost, and how she's learning to navigate her own personal growth. And let's be real, the internet is definitely noticing the shift in her narrative. Was the graduation she spoke of really as empowering as she made it seem? Or was it more of a coping mechanism to make sense of a tough decision? Tia might have thought she was stepping into a new chapter of her life, but now, with Cory thriving and her own life feeling more complicated, it's clear that things aren't as simple as they once seemed. And let's be real, if anyone knows how to turn the tables in their favor, it's Cory Hardrict. He's doing it without the drama, without the online rants, and without all the attention. It's his story of resilience and quiet strength that's starting to win over the public, and people are here for it. As Tia continues to wrestle with her emotions and Cory continues to rise, we can't help but ask, who really came out on top in this divorce? Was it Tia, the woman who took the leap into freedom, or Cory, the man who found peace in his personal and professional growth? And here's the big question. Is Tia finally starting to regret her decision? Now, as we reach the final chapter of this dramatic saga, we have to ask, what happens when both sides of the story come full circle? The craziest part of this whole thing is how everything shifted in the blink of an eye. Tia and Cory's relationship might be over, but their story is far from finished. It's not just about the divorce anymore. This is about personal growth, regret, and what happens when the fairy tale doesn't quite go as planned. Tia had been telling herself that her marriage was a learning experience, something she could grow from. She said she graduated from it, treating the whole thing like some kind of course she completed. But here's where it gets interesting. Now that Cory is thriving, is she starting to question whether she made the right decision? The public opinion has started to shift. At first, everyone was on Tia's side, cheering her on as the empowered woman who left an unhappy marriage. But as time goes on, her posts about how tough dating is and how lost she feels have started to make people wonder. Did she think this whole post-divorce freedom was going to be easier than it really is? It's hard to ignore how, as Tia struggles, Cory seems to be living his best life. People on social media have noticed that his career is soaring, his confidence is growing, and he's staying out of the drama. Meanwhile, Tia is still figuring out her place in this new chapter. She's posting about the pain of dating and how complicated things are, while Cory, on the other hand, has been focusing on his kids and his work. It's almost like he's taking control of the narrative, showing the world that he doesn't need to play the victim to succeed. And maybe, just maybe, that's what's making people question the whole single empowerment narrative that Tia's been putting out there. But here's the shocking twist. Despite all the public drama and the media circus, Cory hasn't once thrown shade. In fact, he's done the complete opposite. He's stayed respectful, kept his emotions in check, and focused on what's important, his family and his career. He's been nothing but classy throughout this whole ordeal. And let me tell you, people have been noticing that. The internet has been buzzing about Cory's maturity and how he's handled the entire situation with grace. While Tia was out there posting about how tough life is, Cory's silence has made him look even stronger. He's out here winning in every way possible, and honestly, it's hard not to respect that. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Could Tia be starting to regret her decision? Is there more to the story than she's letting on? The online community has started asking these questions, and it's hard to ignore the possibility that Tia might be reconsidering the path she chose. Sure, she's been talking about personal growth and healing, but when you're out here posting TikToks at 6:30 in the morning, throwing shade at your ex, and clapping back at fans, it makes you wonder if there's some unresolved pain lurking beneath the surface. The emotional weight of a divorce isn't something you just move past that easily, and let's be real, Tia's public persona seems to be cracking under the pressure. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the double standard that people have pointed out. If Cory had been the one posting cryptic breakup messages or airing his emotions all over social media, he would have been labeled as bitter or immature. But because Tia's doing it, it's seen as a form of self-care or healing. Why is it okay for her to express herself this way, but if Cory did the same, he'd be attacked? It's this double standard that has people talking and questioning whether Tia's public persona is just a front to mask the pain she's really feeling. But here's where it gets really complicated. Could Tia be using social media as a shield? She's been talking a lot about how she's healing and growing, but at the same time, she's posting some pretty conflicting messages. One minute, she's celebrating her newfound freedom. The next, she's lamenting how hard it is to be alone. Fans are starting to see through the cracks in her facade, and that's where the drama starts. Is she truly happy in her post-divorce life, or is she putting up a brave face while dealing with regrets she's not ready to admit? Is she finally realizing that the single life isn't all it's cracked up to be? Because let's be real, living the best life isn't always as glamorous as it looks on social media. And what about Cory? Is he really just flexing now that he's doing better than ever, or is he genuinely embracing the healing process? People are starting to notice that Cory's quiet strength has been his secret weapon throughout all of this. While Tia has been caught up in the drama, Cory's been steady, calm, and focused on what matters most. His honesty about crying himself to sleep for over a year hit people hard. It wasn't the image of the perfect man or the man without struggles. It was real. Cory has been through the pain, but he's made a choice to keep going, to rise above it, and to build something better for himself and his children. That's the real story here. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about throwing shade or getting back at someone. It's about doing better, being better, and letting your actions speak louder than anything else. So as Tia continues to navigate her post-divorce life and Cory keeps winning in every aspect of his, it's clear that the narrative is far from over. What started as a one-sided conversation has now evolved into a complex story about healing, growth, regret, and redemption. Tia may have thought she was stepping into her best life, but now she's realizing that being single isn't as easy as it looks. Meanwhile, Cory has shown us that sometimes the quietest person in the room has the most strength. And while the world may have once sided with Tia, it's becoming clear that Cory is the one who's truly winning this battle. No drama needed. So, what do you think? Did Tia make the right choice in leaving Cory, or is she starting to regret it? Is Cory just flexing now that he's on top, or is there a deeper truth behind his success? Share your thoughts below, and as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more of Hollywood's latest tea. Because let's be real, this story is far from over, and there's always more to uncover.